Welcome on in, everyone. We are back about the buckets. Took 2 weeks off, but from here on out, we're planning on every week. I'm Jordan. As always, I got Maddie with me. Maddie, how you doing, man?
I'm good, man. How you doing?
Good.
Yeah, we were
Uh,
both busy, both traveling,
yep.
so just didn't work out. But I mean, there's a lot going in the NBA, so we got a lot to talk about.
Yeah. Yeah. This was, probably one of the most biggest news weeks in of the NBA season so far. Um, Probably the biggest thing was the Milwaukee Bucks fired Adrian Griffin, first
Yeah,
year head coach. He's 45 games into his rookie season as a head coach with Milwaukee, and in the same day they hired Doc Rivers, which is kind of bizarre if you think about it. What are your thoughts there? What's going on in Milwaukee?
I don't. It's just weird. There has to be. I mean, I don't know if you did you see like a lot of the stories coming out about like this was more of a players
Yeah,
type move more than anything. Maybe they just didn't have confidence in him, whatnot. But I mean, the
yeah,
dude has only coached, I mean, not even until All-Star break. Like,
yeah,
when's the last time we've seen something like this? Like
yeah,
David Blatt from Cleveland, or I
yeah. Well,
mean,
he even got a full season in.
he got a full season in.
Yep. Um, So a few things. Bobby Portis during the NBA in-season tournament. This is like in December, so like a
Yeah.
month into the season, a month and a half in. Bobby Portis threw Adrian Griffin under the bus publicly, and then Giannis has been very dismissive of him on the floor. There was that incident where he tried to substitute Giannis out of the game. Giannis refused.
Yeah.
Lots of bad body language from Giannis towards Adrian Griffin.
Did you see
So,
what Giannis said recently though when they asked him like if he wanted him to be fired?
uh,
He was like, no. He was like, it wasn't me type of thing, and he was like, I even invited him to my wedding. I love the guy, or something like that.
yeah, sure. Yeah, Giannis has been weird this year.
He doesn't like being the bad guy. I feel like in
Yeah,
interviews, like doesn't want that negative perception when it
yeah.
comes to certain things,
But I feel
right?
like on the floor, he's had much more of an edge this year than he typically does. Like, I think on the floor, he's been more of a bad guy, air quotes, like a
Yeah,
heel. Um, Whereas I'm with you. Like I don't think he wants that perception, but there's something going on with him where he's
yeah.
kind of just naturally filling that role when he's on the floor.
Been around Bobby Portis too much, I guess.
Right. He's gonna start punching teammates. Um
uh,
yeah, that's a Chicago Bulls tradition actually.
yeah. Poor Miritich, man.
I know. And Steve Kerr.
Poor guy. He got punched out of the league.
Yeah. Um so they hired Doc Rivers, which Doc Rivers has more lives than a cat. you know, how many times does Doc have to flame out of the playoffs
How many
spectacularly?
there's ever been a coach that does so little with so much? I don't
Yeah,
and been regarded as one of the best coaches ever.
exactly.
I mean, I think this
So
is him.
he got a ring with Boston. Um,
Which was what, 16 years ago?
yeah, and it was with one of the best teams assembled in the last 30 years.
Yeah, I mean, 4 Hall of Famers at
Yep.
least that I'm thinking off
Kind
the
of in
top
their
of my head.
prime.
All in their
KG,
prime.
yeah, KG and Ray Allen kind of, descended
That
out
was
of their
right.
prime.
Yeah.
But they were still relevant during that first Boston year and in the following years as well. Um, so since then, Doc has been with the Lob City Clippers. He was with Philly with James Harden, Joel Embiid. If you think about it, he has not made a conference finals. Correct me if I'm wrong. Since
I
the
don't think
Boston
so.
teams, I don't think the Philly 76ers ever made the
No.
conference finals with Doc. The
No.
Clippers definitely didn't.
No. I know that. No, they did
Yeah,
not.
yeah. So You're right. That's a great way to put it. I can't think of a coach who's done less with more than Doc Rivers.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting too because I can't remember for the life of me. It just kind of hit me right now as we were talking. But I was watching something last night, and they basically were talking. It was on ESPN, so this is take it with a grain of salt and whatnot. They were essentially talking about how Doc Rivers has performed. Oh, does well in the regular season. He performs, and then something just happens with the locker room. Essentially, not blaming him. It was more on the players.
Yeah.
It's like the locker room's a reflection on the coach.
Yeah.
So if you can't manage personalities, that's one of the most important things. That's one of the most underrated things with coaching. When you look at the great coaches that were able, to win championships, that's what they're able to do. Phil Jackson, right?
Yep.
I mean, Pat Riley. I'm just naming Laker coaches.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, and Greg Popovich too, right?
Yeah.
So
it's true. I mean, so because of the nature of the NBA, where it's essentially usually the most talented team wins, right?
yeah,
But with that talent comes ego. So I mean, you're right. A lot of times it comes down to, can the coach be a mediator in the locker room? Can he keep the culture strong while allowing these mega talents to thrive?
yeah.
I mean,
I would even let me throw another name in because I don't want Heat fans to be upset. Eric Spoelstra too.
Yes.
Does a phenomenal job with that.
Exactly. And I mean, an example of that not working is like, look at Steve Nash failing spectacularly in Brooklyn. Probably not even his fault. I don't even know if you could say he was a bad coach. Maybe what it was he didn't know how to handle James Harden, Kyrie Irving, and Kevin Durant.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think that's pretty clear with Doc.
Mike D'Antoni for the Lakers.
Yeah.
When we had Dwight Powell,
mm-hmm.
Kobe, Steve Nash as a player.
Yeah. It's, people will say that Doc is like a player's coach. That I think that's why he keeps getting these jobs, but it never works out right. And I wonder if it's maybe he doesn't create enough culture. Maybe he's too accommodating to the star players and kind of can't focus that talent towards success. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, he keeps getting these roles. Like, he is always in a high profile job. But when was the last time someone was like, who's a great X's and O's coach? Doc Rivers. Tactician, Doc Rivers. Never heard that in my life.
So let me ask you something then too. How long would you give, how long would you give Doc Rivers? And obviously it's dependent on playoff performance, but how long would you give him? Say it's, second round exit, or, maybe you make the conference finals one year or whatever.
I bet he's fired in a year and a half. I bet he gets the rest of this season. And
so he gets 2 playoffs.
Yeah.
To do
and then
something.
I bet he's gone. Yeah.
Yeah.
The Bucks just have too much pressure on them.
Yeah.
So, honestly, after trading for Dame, yes, Giannis did sign a big extension. But if they don't get, if they're not within, arm's reach of a championship in the next 2 years, they're going to shake things up. They don't have any other choice. They've made all the roster moves that they can. So they might just be a coaching carousel until they find the right combination.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And so I was listening to a podcast today, and someone brought up, how did the Bucks hire Adrian Griffin over Nick Nurse? And apparently Giannis didn't like Nick Nurse when they met, so that's fine. I mean, that's out of Milwaukee's control. But when you reflect on that, that sequence of events, that's a pretty big miss. And you can't blame Milwaukee if Giannis didn't like him, right? That's beyond their control. But it's kind of like a what if, if they hired Nick Nurse, where would they be
Yeah.
right now if Giannis was on board with it? So, um, anyways, let's move on. There was a trade a few days ago. Terry Rozier to the Miami Heat. Kyle Lowry, a 2027 protected first round pick. Believe it's lottery protected,
Yeah.
and then rolls over into an unprotected first round pick in 2028 if it's not conveyed. What did you think of that?
I thought it was a good trade for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that they needed another guard that can kind of create for themselves. Obviously, not the best defender. Maybe, I
Yeah.
mean, if there is, I hate to admit this, if there is like one team that could kind of like maybe get more out of him on the defensive end of the floor, it is the Heat.
Yeah.
But no, and he's been playing really well this year too.
Yeah.
Um,
So Kyle Lowry has been abysmal, especially in like the
Yeah.
last 2 months. Um,
the fact you only have to give up one first round pick and you get rid of Kyle Lowry is huge. Like,
yes. Yeah. So like I don't think there's any way you could spin this as a negative for the Heat. The one thing that I didn't like that made me wince a little bit was just that, like, if their pick doesn't convey in 2027, it's then unprotected in 2028. Jimmy's probably not around in 2028. Pat Riley's probably not around by then. And like Bam and Hero, and I mean, we'll see what Triple J turns into. But for now, Bam and Hero are not guys that's a top 4 seed yearly,
yeah.
That's like maybe they could get a play-in duo. But so anyways, but I'm with the Heat. You got to go all in. You have Jimmy Butler, you have Pat Riley still in the building. You don't know how much longer this window is going to be open. And I think paying a small price for Terry Rozier is I actually wish the Heat would have been a little more splashy. I wish they would have gone after DeJounte Murray.
I don't.
I think they should go all in. Well, yeah, we'll get to that later, but I don't blame you. I think the Heat should have been a little more splashy and just abandon this. I talk to a lot of Heat fans. They're all like, what about the future? They're always thinking, what about the future? Just go all in, man. You don't know what the future holds. That's my 2 cents. But at the same time, if you're going to only pay a small price, Terry Rozier, great move.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah. Let's talk about your Lakers.
Speaking of DeJounte Murray.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, there's been a lot of rumors, right, about DeJounte. Of course, other superstars too, but I mean, it's typical, Lakers rumors and whatnot. But DeJounte's the most likely, I would think. It sounds like the Hawks want to add a third team to take on D'Angelo Russell's contract.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the thing we're kind of waiting on. But it seems like the Lakers are the number one team right now in the sweepstakes. It's just a matter of, finding that third team. It looks like the cost would be a first round pick, D'Lo, and Jalen Hood-Schifino, and then I think kind of just like filler either which way, whether it's another like additional draft compensation or other role players. But
that's not bad. To get DeJounte Murray and to not give up Austin Reeves is a gigantic win. I mean, because think about it, the Lakers, they have a really good roster as it is. But if you can end a game with DeJounte Murray, Austin Reeves, and then LeBron, AD, and I don't know if your fifth guy would be like Rui or whoever it would be. I mean, who would it be? Taurean Prince, Rui, one of those guys?
It's like switching. I mean,
yeah.
Or even, oh my God, what's his name from the Jazz? Lefty. Vanderbilt.
Oh, yeah, I love Vanderbilt
too. Yeah. So you don't really know.
Yeah.
Could be any of those guys, but yeah, no, they've all been getting run with it. Taurean Prince too, like you mentioned. So I think it can switch off. I think it depends on matchups too.
Yeah.
I think they're looking to add a center too, so that could even change,
Yeah.
like a smaller move, obviously. But
Need some Kelly Olynyk in your life. I'm just kidding. I think that would be an incredible move for the Lakers. That would be one of the best 5-man lineups to close a game in like a playoff series out there.
yeah.
Probably not on Boston's level. But other than Boston, I can't think of anyone else who would have that type of firepower.
Yeah.
The Clippers have actually been really good lately.
They have
James
been.
Harden, Kawhi, Paul George. They've been playing a lot of what's his name?
Terrence Mann,
and also Norman Powell.
Oh yeah, Norman Powell too. They got a lot of guys.
Yeah, they probably need some center help. I like Zubats a lot, but
yeah.
They
got Zubats and Plumlee. Who else? They have someone else.
I think they have PJ Tucker too.
I don't know how much he's playing though, because when I watched the Laker game the other night against the Clippers, I don't think he even played.
Interesting.
I was falling in and out of sleep, and it was when I was sick, so it could be completely wrong.
Yeah. So, but long story short, the Lakers with DeJounte Murray going to have one of the best lineups in the NBA. So I love it for you guys.
Yeah, no, I think so too. There's some pushback. Obviously, a lot of my friends are Laker fans and whatnot, but to me, like, it's a huge upgrade when you just go from D'Angelo Russell to DeJounte Murray. I know you're trading other,
what would be the pushback though? That's my question. As a non-Lakers fan, I mean the Lakers. So
yeah, D'Angelo Russell's playing really well right now,
yeah.
And I think that there's like hope that he can continue that.
It ain't gonna happen. D'Angelo Russell, funny. He's like what, 28? Like he's magically gonna start being good in the playoffs now?
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. It's like playoff basketball is so different, right?
Yeah.
But like the thing that's so interesting to me is like I don't understand, and I've explained this, or not explained this, but we've talked about this before. I've brought it up when we talked about D'Angelo Russell, is like, there's always guys, you're always going to have inconsistent like shooting nights, right? Like that's always going to happen. You can't control, the ball going in or out, but I've never seen someone so inconsistent from like a playmaking standpoint.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't read the pick and roll well. He doesn't, give AD good passes off the pick and roll. He's like late on his passes, like, and it affects like his whole game. And then, I mean, if he's playing like that, you just can't play him because he plays no defense.
Yeah. So I haven't watched as much Lakers this year. But I can tell you, I watched a lot of Lakers last year. And I watched every possession of them in the playoffs last season. There is no part of me that thinks that D'Angelo Russell is like a reason to not make a trade.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, he was the worst player in the Lakers rotation in the playoffs last year, bar none. Like there was no doubt in my mind. Every night it was like, if you gave D'Angelo Russell minutes all to Austin Reeves, you might have won that game. I just don't get it. If you can get DeJounte Murray for D'Angelo Russell, trade whatever you need to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, for real.
It's wild to me, the pushback, but
yeah.
Embiid, 70-point game.
That was nuts, man. Against our boy Wembanyama, man.
Yeah.
Did not look good.
Pounds of him.
Yeah. I mean, it's different, right? Because we weren't.
Yeah.
I mean, I think his defensive ability is more of like, he can kind of switch on to, younger guys. The NBA is in a place where like you're not really guarding back to the basket guys as much, right? Obviously Embiid does more than that too, but like, it was just Embiid's night, man. Dude, the
Yeah.
Spurs went to a 3-2 zone at one point. It was
Yeah.
like, oh my God. And he was just sealing whoever was on the bottom.
Yeah.
Just like, oh, they threw in the white flag. It was
Yeah.
over, man. Joel Embiid was just
Yeah.
on another level.
So Wemby, like the modern defensive big in the NBA, like you said, not designed to guard back to the basket players.
Yeah. 'Cause
It's
if you're
more
designed to back to the basket players, you're not going to be quick enough to keep up with guards, right? Like off ball switches.
exactly like the modern elite rim protector is a guy who usually protects the rim off of help defense, right?
Yeah.
It's usually help side defense that is protecting the rim. And that's guys like Rudy Gobert, Miles Turner, Jaren Jackson, like they all kind of do this thing, where they're switching over and blocking shots and stuff like that. And that's kind of Wemby's style of defense. He's a great defensive player, but like Embiid is unique in the sense of he's multi-skilled like a modern center, but has the ability to play like a center from the late 90s and just like steamroll people down low. And he's the only guy in the league.
Well, I mean, you've seen that too,
things.
like in the All-Star game. Remember that one year where he just dominated and had like 12 straight points? Like you know what I mean? It's not like it was just Wembanyama. Like it's just he just found himself on the bad side of a Joel Embiid game. And I mean, even Wembanyama had a good game too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
so
being a big fan of the Jazz and Rudy Gobert all those years, I watched a lot of the big men matchups. That was like must-see TV for me to see Rudy play defense against these guys. Embiid was the one guy that he just couldn't figure out. And I think there was physical limitations there. I mean, Rudy would do an amazing job against Jokic. I mean, you can only do so well, right? But he'd play well against pretty much every center besides Embiid. And there was just a level of physicality that Embiid being 280 pounds, Rudy being 240 pounds or whatever he is, like, you just can't really compensate for that. So Embiid is a beast. I'm less worried about Wemby than it is like impressive what Embiid did.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah. And then Karl Anthony Towns that same night, what point total did he end up with? It was over 60.
It was oh my god.
66?
Yeah, it was 60. Was it that much or was it
Let me see.
I thought it was like 62 for some reason.
You might be right. But in a bizarre game, got benched for the he got you're right, 62 points.
Oh, it was 62. Okay.
Yeah. 62 points and didn't play the final few minutes because it was a close game and Chris Finch put his best lineup on the floor and Karl Anthony Towns wasn't in it. Bizarre.
Well, I mean, I don't know how you feel. Do you like Anthony Edwards? I love how like transparent he is, like in interviews and stuff.
Yeah, I love Anthony Edwards.
There was an interview after the game, and they asked him. They were like, "Hey, like it kind of looked like everyone was just kind of focused on getting Karl Anthony Towns as many points as possible. Like, is that kind of what was going on?" And Anthony Edwards was just like, "Yeah, that's what was going on."
Yeah.
Yeah, like didn't even hesitate. He was like, "Yeah, for sure, that's what was happening.
Yeah,
we just wanted to see how many he could score." So I mean I mean there's a difference, right, between like watching the two games, between like force feeding someone to just like get them buckets versus like Joel Embiid had a mismatch every single time.
Yeah,
it was just dominating down low.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. What a crazy thing, though. I mean, the idea of scoring 62 and not being in the closing lineup in a close game, just bizarre to me. But that's Karl Anthony Towns.
I thought it was so funny because on Twitter it was trending of all the people that had parlays and had the Wolves winning the game, and they all thought it was like done because Karl Anthony Towns had like 60 something, and then they're like, "Oh shit!" and they lost.
Oh man, Yeah, the Wolves are kind of going through a weird funk right now, but I'm a big believer in them. I think their offense is kind of stalling right now. I think they're down to like 20th in the last month or so,
Mm-hmm.
but their defense is still like number one pretty easily.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if they can get their offense up to even like 10th, 12th, they're going to be one of the best teams in the league.
Yeah.
Okay, should we talk All-Star and then wrap it up?
Yeah.
Cool.
Let's do it.
So we have the starters for the East and West this year. They've gone back to a East-West format rather than whatever they've been doing for the last 3 or 4 years. The Western Conference All-Stars, Jokic, Kevin Durant, Luka, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and LeBron James. Any surprises in there to you, or feel like it's pretty straight up and down?
I mean, it's a little weird to not see Curry starting,
Here's a question for you.
but I don't know who I would take off.
Yeah. So here's a question for you. This is kind of a heat check question. Right now, this very day, who is a better basketball player? Shai Gilgeous-Alexander or Stephen Curry?
Right now?
Right now. Like this season. Go ahead and say it because I agree with you.
What?
I was just saying.
Who do you think I'm going to say?
Shai.
I mean, I think he might. I think he is, but
Yeah.
Like if you ask me who I'd want on a team right now for like this season, I think I would still say Steph.
Which I would understand, just because of the playoff experience and leadership and stuff. But like, who's playing better basketball right now?
Yeah.
It's Shai, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of one of those changing of the guard years, like I'm not sure Steph Curry is I'm not sure he's one of the, do we count Luka as a point guard?
I don't even know, man.
Okay.
It's so hard with like these like who's the best, like when people say who's the best point guard and it's like, well,
James
like,
Harden, Luka, like do those guys count?
Yeah, like who counts and
yeah.
Like when we're talking about like college basketball, I know this is off topic and it's like, oh, well, who should be playing at the 5? And it's like, well, I mean, who cares if it's at the 5? Who should be playing, you mean? Like,
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, I think the days of Steph Curry being a top 2 point guard, and we'll just go by All-Star and All-NBA classifications, days of him being a top 2 point guard might be over.
Okay, can I say this though?
Yeah.
I think Steph is more deserving to be a starter than Dame was.
Yes.
Can we agree on that?
Yes.
Yeah, because I mean, Jalen Brunson should be starting for the East.
Yeah. So hold on, let's name off the Eastern starters first.
Yeah, sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. So Damian Lillard, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Joel Embiid, Jason Tatum, and Tyrese Halliburton.
Yep.
And now, so there's some controversy. Did Dame deserve it, or should it have been Jalen Brunson? People threw out Donovan Mitchell. I'm with you though. I'm not sure Dame deserved it this year. It's actually, get this, the first time Lillard has ever been an All-Star starter.
I was surprised by that.
Me
I
too.
thought he had like snuck in like 1 year, but then I realized, well, Steph has probably been starting every single freaking year, so they're not going to have both of them, right?
Well, Heat fans hate hearing me say this. This is another example of the Western Conference being considerably more competitive and better and more talented than the East, going on like 2.5 decades now. Damian Lillard, top 75 player in NBA history, according to that list, never starts in the All-Star game.
Yeah.
Until he goes to the Eastern Conference, and he starts immediately. So, just saying. But so Damian Lillard out of the conversation, we still have 3 guys for 2 spots in the West.
Yeah.
We're just talking about Steph Curry not getting a spot. James Harden didn't get a spot. you know.
Yeah.
But I'm with you. I think Jalen Brunson should have gotten it.
Yeah. He's been playing out of his mind too.
Yeah. And then I didn't think there were any other surprises. Halliburton having an amazing year.
Yeah,
I think
definitely deserved it.
yeah.
You know how I feel about Tyrese Halliburton.
Yeah.
I love him.
Deservedly so, man. He's amazing.
Yeah. Do you remember? Okay, this, I don't even know if I want to. Do you remember when we were on this show? How long ago? How long ago was this? And we were having a certain debate about a certain player that's on the Nets right now with our other co-host that hasn't been on for a while, Mike.
Yeah.
We were talking about like the best point guards.
Uh-huh.
And maybe this wasn't actually on our show, but I said that I would take Tyrese Halliburton easily. Like I put Tyrese Halliburton over Ben Simmons,
Yeah.
and he
Wasn't
didn't
it
agree with
the
me.
best under 25 guys? I think
No,
that
this wasn't. This was this actually. I think this was actually on Kane Gang. Now that I'm
okay.
thinking about it,
Okay.
but yeah, this was a while ago. Actually, this might have been like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So this was before like Tyrese had been there for like half a season for the Pacers, right? Because he got
Okay.
traded midway through the year, but he
Yeah.
like balled out, right?
Yeah.
They weren't ready, man. I tried to tell him.
Yeah.
Tried to tell him about Jaime Jaquez. Tried to tell him about Tyrese Halliburton.
Yep.
Nobody was ready.
Yep. Any closing thoughts? Anything you want to talk about before we wrap this up for the night?
Man, I hope the Lakers do something because
Yeah.
I do not want to see this same roster in the playoffs if we even make the playoffs.
Yeah. It's
So
are you guys currently in the play-in right now? I haven't looked at the standings in like 2
we're
days.
probably like, I mean, I don't want to look at them ever, to be honest with you. But I'm guessing we're probably like 10th or 11th.
See, you're fighting with my Jazz. Did you think that at the start of the year that you'd be fighting with my Jazz?
Well, yeah,
for
because you
play-in?
guys have Keontae George, so I knew that was
Right.
going to happen.
Okay, so you're at 10 right
Ninth.
now.
Oh,
Jazz are at 9th. We won tonight.
that's why this isn't
So,
updated.
yeah, Jazz won tonight, so we're back at 500. Dude, the Mavericks just free falling. Did I not call that?
Man. You did.
And I think it's going to get worse. I mean, let's see. So the Warriors still on the outside looking in. Oh, man. What are the odds that Dallas doesn't make the play-in this year?
So, I don't think so. Because like,
So who gets left out? Is it the Jazz? I mean, that's probably the most
I think either
logical
yeah.
answer. The Jazz or the
Well,
Warriors.
So are you assuming that the Warriors? Man, because I don't have a lot of confidence in the Warriors, to be honest with you, man, with their roster construct and everything going on there.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you this much: Jazz aren't going to be sellers at the deadline. I don't know if they'll be buyers. I don't know if they'll like go out of their way to improve themselves, but they're not going to sell off key pieces. I could see them maybe trading Jordan Clarkson or Kelly Olynyk, but like they're not going to unload some guy that like makes their record worse.
Yeah.
So I don't know, man. I don't have a ton of confidence that they're going to be in the top 10 when the season's done, but like they're playing really well lately.
Yeah.
I mean, they're 15-6 at home this year.
Jeez.
Yeah. 7-3 in their last 10. So I don't know. Playing really well. It's going to be weird if Golden State doesn't even make the play-in and getting a full season of healthy Steph Curry.
That'd be crazy.
Yeah. Before we go, I want to hear your prediction because the trade deadline is 2 weeks from tonight, actually. That'll be a good show in 2 weeks. Who makes the biggest splash?
Ooh. Oh man.
You can say Indiana. Indiana's already done the Pascal Siakam trade. Which we didn't talk about. That happened in the last 2 weeks.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah, we'll cover that next time. But so you can include Indiana. That counts if you want to say them. That's the biggest splash. But is there anyone else that you think makes a bigger splash than Siakam?
I mean, the only crazy thing, I don't even think it happens though. It's like if the Hawks trade like Trae Young,
Yeah,
but I don't think that,
yeah.
because there's some rumors to that, but I don't think that's gonna.
Yeah, I don't think they'll trade Trae Young. I think they probably will do the DeJounte Murray
Yeah,
to the
I
Lakers.
think DeJounte, or who's another. I mean, maybe. I mean, I don't even know if Zach LaVine's a bigger. I would actually say DeJounte is probably a bigger name, right?
Yeah, I don't think Zach LaVine gets traded.
Mm.
I mean, I think a team would have to be desperate.
Poor Mike.
Yeah, and it's not that LaVine sucks. I just think his deal is such that like, what team would take that on?
Yeah.
What's the team that is ready for Zach
I
LaVine
think
and his money?
Yeah, I think we're just gonna see a lot of role. I think the Nets are gonna move a lot of the role players they have,
Yeah,
like Finney Smith or Royce O'Neal or
yeah.
maybe Cam Johnson or something, like those type of guys, because they have a bunch of those wing guys.
Ooh, dude,
Um,
I can tell you what, I'd love to get Cam Johnson on the Jazz.
I would take him too,
Yeah, and we
but
have the picks that we could do something like that.
yeah, but um, but who else? There's someone else I was gonna say too, but I can't remember now.
So
But
here's
I think it's gonna be a lot of role play. I mean, I know there's a lot of like talk about Tyus Jones too, and maybe Daniel Gafford moving, guys
yeah,
like that. I think it's gonna be we see a lot of those type of role players moving
yeah.
to contenders. I don't
So
think there's gonna be a huge move.
here's one that has been talked about by the national guys here and there that makes a lot of sense to me is Dallas getting desperate and trading for Jeremy Grant.
Oh,
Like that one just makes a ton of sense. They're getting more and more desperate by the day. They're on a 3-game losing streak right now. They started 10-2. They are 14-18 cents.
damn.
Yeah. And when they started 10-2, I was curious because I predicted them to have a bad year. So I was kind of looking at the stats and it was Tim Hardaway Jr. in that first 12 games was averaging like 23 points,
Oh yeah,
shooting
I
like
remember us talking about
51%
this.
from three. Yeah. So I was like, that's not lasting for very long. And he regressed to his averages and now they suck. So yeah.
There we go.
Yeah. So I could see Dallas trying to be splashy. I'm not
Yeah,
sure anyone beats Indiana for that level of splash, but yeah. I think DeJounte Murray gets moved. I don't think Zach LaVine gets moved. I don't think DeMar DeRozan gets moved.
yeah,
Um, yeah. So Philly, I think Philly is an interesting team to keep an eye on. They like have the right contracts and picks that they could try to make a move. But honestly, they're playing so well right now that
yeah.
I could also see them just being like, this might be the year. We have the right head coach. Tyrese Maxey is playing amazing. Joel Embiid is having his best year.
Hmm. Yeah.
I don't know. So, all right. Well, until next Thursday. Okay. Well,
Looking
thank you,
forward to it.
everyone. Yeah, thank you, everyone, for checking us out. We're About the Buckets. Make sure you're checking out About the Fans. You can't see my shirt right now, but I'm repping some merch. Go to aboutthefans.com for all of your South Florida sports needs, apparel, stickers, hats. Follow us on Twitter, About the Fans. Also follow About the Buckets on Twitter. We don't post on there as much as we should, but
Yeah, we
we're there.
don't actually. I just realized that.
Yeah. But we're there. Trust me.
We are.
Yep. And yeah, we'll see you guys next Thursday. Maddie, thank you so much.
Of course.
Okay. Take care, guys.